Alrighty, this is an older game that was made public back in 2015, and they also have another game they offered, the Dawn of Man. It can also be very frustrating until you learn the basics and can manage the basics. So both games are pretty much the same. Of course, you click here if you want to start a new game, but I want to play through the tutorial first. Now, it doesn't give you as much what would you call it, guidance on how to play the game as I thought it would. Now, they do have, for veteran players, challenges, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there. But I'm going to assume you're a beginner, so I'll go ahead and go back. The first thing you want to do is look at settings. If you have a newer computer, you might want to go with quality of high. This uses standard screen size, so you probably won't make any changes there. Newer computers or older computers will want to make changes most likely here if they experience any problems. The sound effects, 5 seems to be pretty good, but I could turn that down a little bit in order to make my voice more obvious in case the sound effects interfere. But so far the recordings look to be okay. Music volume, I've got it a little bit on the high side right now, but hopefully it's not an issue. And of course I speak English. Now click here on controls if you're not sure how to play the game. These controls will look pretty common to you if you play very many computer games, and of course I'm playing on a desktop. So you want to look through there and notice that a lot of these have more than one way of doing the same thing. You will also find out that there's more than one way that's not shown here to do the same thing. So get real familiar with these. Now, you see here these alert. You have to use your numbers pad for that, and it won't activate until you've installed a control center. You don't have to have guards necessarily, but you do have to have the control center. All right, so let's go back. And let's go back again so that we can get back to the main menu, and we'll go to the tutorial. As soon as it says press any key, I'll just use the space bar. Now also notice you're doing the first planet. This opening screen you see, this animation, is something you have to wait through. There's no way to get out of it as far as I know. I've pressed the escape key in the past and it just kept going. It didn't jump forward. I guess it's a way to get you ready to go. Once the two robots come out here, you'll notice that the camera automatically backs off a little bit. Okay, now this you can read through as you play, and it's going to tell you what to do. See there? It gives you basic directions, and this is for if you're very, very new to the game. Now, you want to pan the camera with the W, A, S, and D keys. Once you do that, it says you're done. Now, you rotate the camera with the Q and the E key. There's the Q, there's the E. So that's done. And then after a short delay, it'll tell you what to do next. Now I'm going to click through these kind of fast, so if you need to read them, then go ahead and do so, especially if this is your first game. Oxygen generator, okay, they've highlighted what you need to click on. I'm using the mouse, and just about all of these are clicks. So now I'll use the camera, and notice that they want me to make it first size. They don't want me to go bigger. They want me to go first size. And rotating the mouse gives you options on size. So we did it, and now it's telling us we need a solar panel, and that's under this option. So left clicks again, it's telling you where to put it, and again, it's first size. Now it tells you what to do next, so you just click on these when you're finished reading, and you look up here, it tells you that you've got to connect the two structures, and you left click, and left click again, and they're now connected. That's a power cable connection. There's other types. Now, if you want to speed up the game, you can click here with the left mouse button, but I normally use the plus key over on the numbers pad. It does the same thing. All right, waiting for construction to finish, done. So we go on to the next activity. It says you need water supply, otherwise you can't get the oxygen generator to work. So they tell you you're going to find it here. That's what it looks like. They want you to put it over here, and they want you to use the first size. Now we have to also connect, so we need to do the same thing as we did before. Now notice this time, the connection looks a little different. It's wide. All right, so now we need to do, I'm going to just rotate back over. They tell you where the airlock can be found, where they want you to put it, and of course you need to link it. And then they tell you to speed the game back up. And they also tell you use the keypad plus key. See there, green? That's what I normally do. Your keyboard's got two sides to it. One's for letters and one's for numbers. And that's the one I use, the one for numbers. Now, this tutorial is going to make you wait. You do various things. So, place a canteen. You'll find it in here. And the knife and fork. And they'll tell you where they put it. Now notice this is all first size. None of this stuff is second size, which is what most people like to play if they've, or do the bigger options so that they last longer. They don't have to be replaced quite so soon if they're veteran players. But the catch is it puts a strain on what you start with. So it's not always a good idea if you're kind of new to the game to go to the larger option right away. You might want to wait because it can cause problems. All of these first level structures are going to get replaced anyway at some point, especially if you're trying to do the last milestone, and that's going to be a population of 300. All right, so you click here like it shows, and this is what they want you to install. So there's the table, there's the water fountain. Well, it's got to turn green like you see there. If it doesn't turn green, you can't place it. And now we want a portrait. Now you can't put it over the opening. You have to move to the left or the right and put it in a place you're probably not going to make a connection. Now notice that we did not put in anything yet in the way of food production. Now they're very picky, so zoom out with the mouse wheel, come over here, put in your dormitory, and this is where they want it. They want to be first size. They're trying to have you put in everything first size, even though it's going to have to be replaced before too much longer. Now, we'll have to wait for that to get done, so we might as well go ahead and speed up. Get it to maximum speed, which is 4. Once that's done, then we can do the first thing, place a bunk, and then wait everything to be built. Well, everything right now is either in here or here. Once they get that little bit done, then they consider that finished for now. A veteran player would be trying to put a mill machine in there most likely at this point. All right, so I'm going to use the mouse wheel and the camera control keys and zoom down here. There we go. Now we can't do anything until this is finished. There's the big arrow. So of course we got to click here. Click here. These are all left clicks, and put in the first bunk. Now we'll click here, or we can hit the escape key, and I'll use the escape key option. And if I press it again, it takes away the highlight. And they're just waiting for this to get done. Now, if you watch, you can start to tell a little bit about who does what, because everybody's a specialist, and they will only do 1 or 2 jobs at the most. Okay, so now we need a power collector. Usually this is what you put in first, and they want you to put it over here, but notice they want you to make it bigger. See, they don't want the first size, they want the second size. And that's pretty critical, because you will not be able to store up enough power to get through the night. Same thing goes here. They want you to go with the second size, and they want you to make at least 1 connection. Then you go ahead and speed up the game. Whoops, I'll just double click with the left mouse button this time. And then we're of course waiting for everything to get done before we're told what to do next. But real point, remember, this and this is not the first size. This and this was, as well as everything else, was all the first size. Now notice your people are trying to get some sleep. Some of them are walking around sleepy. But you don't have any choice. You have to wait until you get more instructions. All right, so we got to do the biodome. It's found here, and there it is. And they want you to put it there, and again, first size. And then, of course, the link. Now, they're waiting for these things to be put in, and then they finally want you to put in your first meal maker, which kind of makes sense because the only meals you have is what's inside the spaceship. And once that is recycled, will be laying out here on the ground, slowly deteriorating from the atmosphere. So now they're pointing, and they're telling you what you need to do for the most part. So what you do while you're waiting for this other to get done is click. All these are left clicks, and you put 1 in. There you go. So we kind of, since I knew what to do, we jumped ahead a little bit. Normally you go ahead and you do these first, and you wait for everything to get done. Okay, speed up the game. Get to speed 4. And I'll go ahead and just left click out here to remove the highlight. So instead of using the escape key, I'll just click out here in the open. Now see that you don't always do everything you tell them to do in the sequence you tell them to do. Now notice they only got the 1 bunk bed, and we've got more than just 2 people, so we actually need another bunk bed. But remember, we're just following the directions. All right, now we need to click here, and like before, and we need to put these 2 in. Now it's kind of important that you do only those 2 right now, because that's all you need. Now we can left click out here to remove the highlight. And what we're trying to do when we're playing our own game instead of the tutorial is not to go burning through these supplies too fast. All right, so now we got that in. Now they want us to recycle the colony ship. That's the one they came in on, right that back here. And this is what you left click on. Now all the supplies are laying out there, plus more of what you see here and here. All right, so now when you get a mine in, it tells us to put it over here pretty close, make our link, speed the game up, and then it tells you need your processing plant so you can do something with the ore. And you'll find the option here. And they want you to put it there. Now there is a strategy for this connection. Otherwise you're liable to put it out here somewhere, and these supplies are going to be in your way. So we'll speed the game up, make sure we're at ×4 on the play speed, so things will happen a little quicker and this tutorial won't be quite so long. Now we can't do these until this is done, and they have to get that in first, the tunnel. going to let the constructor robot do it. Okay, now we can go ahead, click here, and put this in. Boom. Click here, and click anywhere on the map where there's no objects. Now we're waiting for construction on this, which will take one piece of metal, like you see up here. Now remember what you're being shown here, how you keep your production to bare minimum, because if you don't do it this way, you're going to have trouble with the game. All right, bioplastic, and again, it's pointing right back to the same spot. And they tell you this time, put this one in. There we go. Now speed the game up. We're just waiting for a rice pad, which would go here. And that's how we start getting starch. Now there is a reason why they recommend a rice pad first, rather than wheat or potato or peas or some other option that provides starch. It produces starch a little faster. All right, so we're just waiting for it. Oh, there it goes. Now it's telling you that the colonists and care boards will take the right resources to the right place regardless. And now it's telling you about you need to maintain with spare parts. So we need a factory for that, so that they can make spare parts. And it's found over here. There's the symbol. And now they're telling you you can put this anywhere you want to. Well, obviously, it needs metal in order to make spare parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right there. Now notice they did not dictate where you put it. Speed the game up. And as soon as we get the spare parts factory that also will later make guns and let's see, semiconductors. Yeah. Now, something I'll tell you that the tutorial doesn't. Whenever you recycle the smaller structure for a bigger one, you don't get whatever was used to make this connection. The same is true out here. Whatever was used to make this connection, which would be one piece of metal, you don't get back, but you will get back what you used to make what I call the whirlies, the wind turbines. And notice we cannot do this until the tunnel, there it goes. Till the tunnel gets done and oxygen is provided, we cannot do anything. All right, so we'll go ahead and speed back up again. Now they're making metal right now. So they've gone in the mine, they've got some ore, and they put it in this machine. Now they also tell you that only the engineers will work inside the factory, only engineers and not anyone else. So if you will only see engineers go in here to work this machine, you only see workers to go in here and work these machines in the mine. Everybody's a specialist and nobody will do anything else. Now, it makes sense to me to put this as close as I can to where the workers go when they're injured. This is a good choice, but they'll come out of the mine hurt, so I'm going to put it right there. And again, it's first size. Speed the game up so we get things going a little bit quicker. Now, we could have also put it right in here somewhere. I think the supplies are far enough away to where that would work. Because you can't put anything on top of these supplies. Now, notice our robot is broken. A constructor bot, the one that helps out the engineers. All right, so now we need to click here, here, and here. Put our first bed in. And I'm going to move it, moved it too far, right there, right to the edge. Once that gets constructed, we'll get our next series of instructions on what to do next. Now, strange as it might seem, they still have not told us to put in a second or third bunk bed. Normally, you start off with 3. It doesn't hurt your bioplastic too much because that's what you use to make those. There we go. So now we'll move on with the instructions. And I said, you need a lab. So we need to go here. And this is what the lab looks like. Now the lab is primarily a food supply. So it kind of makes sense to keep it pretty close to where you're making the other types of food, vegetables and starch. Now starch is primarily for the machine. Vegetables are primarily for your meal maker. And also notice you need meat. It's called vitro meat. It's fake meat. It's cultured meat. So let's speed it up. Otherwise, if the only thing they put in these machine is the vegetables and you never do progress to making meat, at some point your people are going to start to suffer from malnutrition. And you want to avoid that because it burns up all of your medical supplies in a surprisingly short time. We've only got 9 to work with right now, and we don't have the ability to make any yet. But this is what the lab does. Okay, click here. They want you to put this in right away so you can make more medical supplies if you have a medic. Now we also want to put in, no, that's all. That's all they want. Nothing about the fake meat yet. Okay, so that's it. Now they want you to come over here and put in the plants, the medical leaf plants. And you can put it where you want. Well, we've only got 1 spot left, so that's it. That's all we can do. This dome, this biodome is already maxed out. It cannot produce any more. You can't put any more plants in there. That's part of the reasons that I don't like to use the first size. But the first size does require less electric and less water. So there is an advantage to going the first size right off. Okay, now we need to put in the landing pad. Now this is going to be how we'll get more people in. And there's only a few places you can put it. See there? But you want to stay pretty close to the airlock. If we try to put it anywhere else, they'll have to land here, then walk all the way around over here to the airlock to get in. So of course, we want to put it pretty close. And that's how we get power. We're too far away to get power from that, from the mine. Remember, our power generation is here and here, stored there, and that's water. And also remember, this only provides 30 kilowatts. This one only provides 30 kilowatts at the second size if the wind is blowing full blast. This will store all the power, but that's like a huge battery. You see what they call it, power collector? Well, that's your battery. Whoops, speed up. And that's why, even though this may not be politically correct to say, mankind cannot get by with solar or wind power, because there's the weak spot. Also, no wind, no power. Cloudy day, no power. Or very little. There you go. That's your tutorial. That's all they show you, nothing more. So at this point, you would either quit or you would start your first game. Now, if you've been playing games, then you would go with continue, and it would pick up where you left off on the last game that you played. Now, if you've been playing many games, like me and others that have been playing for a while, then you have a lot of choices. Now, the first thing I always do is I get rid of the autosaves, because I've got a save that comes after those. So the autosaves aren't going to do me any good. They're just taking up space on my hard drive. But I'll throw that in there. Okay, there you go. We'll go ahead and quit and call it a good demonstration and a little additional information that you can use on your first game. But watch this video as many times as you need to and keep going back to it, because I don't know if you know this or not, but you can watch a video on YouTube, pause it when you need to, play the game, and then go back to YouTube. But what you might not understand is if you hold down the key that's all the way on the bottom left, that looks like a little window, and then press the D like in dog key quickly afterwards, you can switch between your desktop and whatever else you have. Just to give you a little heads up. Be well until next time.